brothers Richard and George despise each other. For 8 long years, there's been bad blood over a family home. It sparked one of the wildest confrontations in ACCA history. Now the final chapter is being played out in court.
Put that bat down! Put that bat down!
These were the wild scenes the first time Richard and George Scaff faced off over who owns this humble home.
You have never paid me for the house. I paid you. You want this on street?
Mate.
Now this ugly family feud enters its final chapter in the Supreme Court.
Hi Richard, good to see you left the cricket bat at home today. Mate! There's now been 8 years of bad blood between these two brothers who grew up in a family so close they were godfathers to each other's children. But that bond was shattered after their mum died and Richard Scaff gave brother George an eviction notice to leave the place he'd called home for 25 years.
Their mum Suad used to live here in a quiet street of Dulwich Hill in Sydney. Eldest son Richard Scaff lives right next door, and 2 doors down is where George Scaff calls home, along with his wife and where they raised their 2 children. Back in 2015, George Scaff spoke to A Current Affair about the day he received an eviction notice from his brother.
I still find it hard that this isn't the same guy that I grew up with would send me a letter saying to evict me from my house with my family.
Richard Scaff's name is on the title deed for the house, but George claims their parents bought it for him.
They bought a house for Richard and they paid it off for him. Then they bought a house for me and they paid it off for me.
The Supreme Court judge will now determine exactly who the house belongs to. When we first tried to ask Richard Scaff questions about the ownership issue, he came out swinging a cricket bat.
Richard. No. Dan Nolan from A Current Affair, mate. Put that bat down. Put that bat down. Mate.
You're up for murder.
Put that.
All accessory to murder.
Put that bat down, mate.
All accessory to
mate.
murder.
What are you talking about?
He's already put a hit on me for my life.
What are you talking about, mate?
He's put a hit.
We're from A Current Affair.
You get out of here.
Mate, we're from A Current Affair. You just attacked that man for no reason. You came at us with a cricket bat.
There was never any murder that we could determine, but there was about to be several assault charges.
Why are you evicting me from my house? You're not. Why are you evicting me from my house? It's not your house. Listen, my brother. It's not your house. It is my house, Richard. Never has been, George. I paid you for the house, Richard. You have never paid me for the house. I paid you. You want this on street?
Mate,
Don't do that.
Mate.
Oh, we haven't done anything.
Okay.
Mate, that's assault, mate. That's assault right there. We're calling the police.
While we called police to help deal with this fiery confrontation, another attack on our cameraman sparked a few punches from George Scaff.
Get out to me again.
Police arrived and arrested Richard Scaff, who faced court 6 months later, pleading guilty to a charge of common assault and 2 counts of malicious damage. George Scaff also pleaded guilty to 1 count of common assault, with both brothers placed on good behaviour bonds. Those matters were dealt with 8 years ago, but the issue of who owns the house has never been resolved. The closest we ever got to an explanation from Richard Scaff came amidst that wild brawl.
You're being evicted and you know that.
Richard, why are you evicting him from his house? That's what we want to know.
His house. It was never his house. It was never. He never bought the house.
How long has he lived there for?
Richard, it's my house. It's my house.
How long has he lived there for?
Mum bought you a house and bought me a house. Mum never bought you a house.
Now the case comes to the Supreme Court, where Richard Scaff was tight-lipped on day 1 of proceedings.
What are your thoughts on the case? Hoping the judge is a cricket fan?
No cricket bats today, but one of Richard Scaff's supporters was making a pest of himself.
Mate, don't touch the camera, please.
I can do what I want.
Don't touch the camera.
I won't touch it, but I'll stand in front
There'll
of
be another assault charge. It's already been a few assault charges.
George Scaff also wasn't commenting on the case, with a home now valued at $2.2 million at stake. On day 1 of the hearing, neither brother spoke a word to each other. The judge was told neither party had documents to definitively prove who paid for the house 35 years ago, leaving it up to him to infer what had happened, with dozens of witnesses to be called. The most crucial witness to this messy dispute sadly can't take the stand. The brothers' beloved mother, Suad, who died a year before this family battle exploded.
What do you think your mum would make of all this? How do you think she'd feel seeing the two boys battling out in the Supreme Court?
Got to think she'd be heartbroken, don't you?